next technique I teach is hidden elbows. This is a defense against a close grab from, around 430. Our opponent's sort of behind us and to the side a little bit, and he's grabbing us up here. Now, we're going to address these sorts of grabs a couple of different times with some of our techniques where our opponent's a little further away or he's giving us more pressure. This, again, a lot of our grab defenses, as I was taught and as I teach our students, we start with the simplest, most stripped down version of the attack, and then we expand out from there. So here, it's sort of the dead hand grab. Now, we have concerns, right? A guy's going to grab us, he's either going to manipulate us or he's going to start striking, and we're going to build an understanding of that right into our defense. So when he grabs us, we're going to pin his hand. Again, we've talked about it before, grab the grab, right? He grabs us, we grab him, okay? We're going to step into our attacker here, and one of the things I want students to understand about this is really learning how to use the shoulder, the back, the hip, the leg, the foot, everything as we strike our opponent. And we're going to practice this on the shields, we're going to practice this on the body. This is a body slam, okay? I'm hitting my opponent with my entire body because I want to disrupt his position, and that's going to make it easier for me to counter. We've talked about it before. If I can break his posture or disrupt his base, he has to rebase before he can move or counter. And that ties into the OODA loop and some of the other things we're going to talk about later in the students' training. For now, what I want them to learn, the guy grabs him, pin, grab the grab, and we're going to, and again, I talked about what if there's an offhand, what if he's pressuring. Once I have this hand occupying this zone, if there is a strike coming, I can cover, I can defend, I can, at later levels, parry, grab, all those sorts of things. For now, I just want to put a hand in this zone in case something's coming, and since it's going to be there, let's control the hand he grabbed us with. We're going to move into our opponent, and it's not a big step, because remember, he's close to us, but it's enough, boom, that we can hit him. And at the same time that we hit him with our body, we're going to hit him with the point of our elbow, okay? Ideally, we're hitting him in what's colloquially known as the solar plexus, kind of that substernal notch, right? And we want to try and shock him with that strike. So the whole body moves as one. Boom, right into our opponent. From there, I'm going to drop this down and hammer the groin, okay? So it's boom. And this becomes, ideally, I want this to be pop, pop. And when you practice this, you want to get that sound effect where everything's pop, pop, and you're kind of rolling down the opponent's body. And we're going to use this elbow hammer fist strike a lot. We're going to do this in a lot of our bear hug techniques, a lot of different things. And it's just this idea of what's closest to him, right? What can I hit him with first? Boom, this short strike. And then I go to my long strike, boom. And as I get more effective with that, everything's just sort of rolling over, crashing over our opponent like a wave. Boom, right? So at the same time, all these things are happening. Obviously, I'm checking because maybe this was just, Grandma, and she was like, hey, Sonny, and she's putting her hand up on my shoulder. I'm like, boom, take that, Granny. No, so I want to know what I'm hitting, right? But we've talked about it before. I don't want to move into darkness without getting hands up to protect myself in case those strikes are coming. So as I survey and see what's going on, I'm also checking and controlling. There's no strikes coming, and this is all happening in a split second. It's not like I'm like, what's going on, right? It's all very quick. Boom, right? Now I've hit the guy several times, and I've disrupted his stance, and I've gained control over his grasping hand, okay? So a lot happened in the first split second of this technique. From there, I'm going to grab my opponent's groin, and I'm going to pull up. Now again, there's a lot of different variations on all these techniques, right? It's kenpo. We've all seen 10,000 ways to do everything. This is the way I was taught to do it. So as I check, I step in, boom, grab, and I'm going to pull up. Now, I'm going to use that to build stress in my muscles in my arm, and as I build that tension, then I'm going to release and come up to an obscure elbow strike, catching my opponent in the throat or under the chin. The idea there is when I hit him in the groin, it causes him to come down, and as I release, boom, I hit him up high. We did a very similar thing when we did this. Boom, in our escaping the bear technique, only here, instead of stomping the foot to the elbow, we're going to use the muscle tension developed by pulling up on the groin, boom, to release that into his chin. So the guy grabs us, he's at close range, boom, crash over him, grab, pull, release, right into our opponent's chin. Maybe we hit him right in the center of the chin up from under, maybe we catch the throat. If we want to be nice about it, we could always just use that to shrug him off, right? So again, when we talk about voluming, you don't necessarily have to go solar plexus, groin, grab the groin, crush the throat, or break the jaw, right? It could just be like, hey man, get off of me, right? But we want to make sure that we cover our bases. It doesn't do us any good to tell our students, you can do this at level 1 or level 11, and then only teach them level 4, right? So we want to make sure that they understand they can apply this in a wide variety of ways, and then make sure we train those ways. So our opponent grabs us, check, pin, hit with the body and the arm at the same time, long range weapon, control, tension, strike. Okay? Now, I've seen some schools where they step out at that point. I've seen some people who always step out if the opponent's behind you. That's fine. You know, there's a lot of ways I could finish that. From there, I could step away, rear kick, right? I could do a lot of different things. The base technique is just these movements. Boom, boom, right? That's hidden elbows. And you see, again, in the naming conventions that I use are sort of a combination of what I was raised with and some of the EPAC terminology. It's the names I use in my school, right? These are the things I use to communicate these to my students. I talk to a lot of EPAC guys. I try to use their names when I'm talking to them just so that it's not as confusing. When I talk to students from other schools, I try to find out what they call it. Sometimes I just go, you know, the one that looks like this, right? And then they go, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. So a rose by any other name, right? It's only confusing if you try to use one set of naming conventions with people who know a different set. But these are the ways I refer to these techniques. So I'm stepping back into this guy, hitting him, rolling down him, coming up, hitting him with the elbow. And now we've got a couple of grab techniques. We've got shoulder grab techniques from a couple of different directions. We've got single and double wrist grab techniques. We've got the rear belt grab technique, right? And we're going to continue to build on these grab defenses as we go through the system. But now we can do some drills where a student can come up and he can grab me from close or far, from the shoulder, from behind the shoulder. You know, some techniques, hidden strikes, which you guys usually know as sword and hammer, we'll practice that in every direction, right? If he grabs me from the front, I can do sword and hammer. If he grabs me from the back, I can do sword and hammer. If he grabs me close, I can boom, hit him here. If he grabs me close, I can turn into him and work some of the first couple of techniques I worked, right? So now we can build that into an option drill. We do a drill called open your eyes surprise, right? Which is the idea of your eyes are closed, you're ready, and then you get attacked and you have to open and react. We'll do that with strikes too, and we'll just have the attacker key eye before he strikes, right? So, and then your eyes are open and here comes a strike and you have to defend in a hurry, right? Well, once we have a variety of techniques we can practice, we can build all those into these drills. And we can open it up as far as we want, or we can narrow it down as much as we want, and we're going to work both, right? Everything goes in both directions. Everything should be practiced as the simplest, most stripped down version, and the most complex, most extreme, most spontaneous version, and everything in between. And that's how you build, in my opinion, a complete set of applicable skills. So we've done the close grabs, we've done the far grabs, we've done the low grabs, we've done the high grabs. We can work them on either sides of the bodies, especially these simple techniques. I really think you should be working left and right-handed because they're so basic. When we get into some of the more complex stuff we're going to do later, we'll work those right and left-handed, but that's a lot more of a chore than this, right? Or this. Boom. But you also see the progression of the techniques. The first grab technique they learned was one arm standing still. This is both arms, we're moving the body, we're going from strikes to grapples to strikes again, which is something we do a lot in kenpo. Hands set up feet, feet set up hands. Strikes set up grapples, grapples set up strikes. We go back and forth, inside sets up outside, circular sets up linear. We're constantly going to be moving back and forth in our fighting and in our techniques because we want to constantly be coming at our opponent with a new technique or an angle that he's not aware of, right? Now, I say that, and some people will hear, constantly change it up, you're always doing something different. In real fighting, that's not always the case. We have a concept I call beat the drum, which is the idea of if something's working, just work it, right? I mean, we're not playing for style points. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If you're hitting the guy and he's not defending it and it's successful, just keep hitting him with that, right? Now, again, when we talk about sports combat or dueling, there's a danger of, you know, programming or falling into a predictable pattern, and those are all topics we'll have with students too. But if it's basic self-defense, if hitting this guy with a hammer fist works, hammer fist him until he stops attacking you, right? So from here, I'm pinning, hitting, grabbing, and striking. And that's the basic technique that I call hidden elbows. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know.